Hello and that was too close. Hello and welcome to another video. So spooky season has finally come to an end, which means October is over, which means a reading wrap up. So today I am doing my October reading wrap up. I'm just gonna do it like a very cozy video because it's very cold outside. It looks like it's going to rain, so I just lit my candle. Oh my god, it smells like apple cinnamon pie. It smells delicious. It's kind of making me hungry. I wish you could smell it from there because it's so good. Almost blew that out. In October, I actually read a total of 7 books, and honestly, I think it has been my best reading month this year. Not to say in all of my freaking life, because I don't usually read 7 books a month. I usually read 2 to 3 books a month, so this was a great reading month. I didn't even read this much during quarantine or during the summer, so I don't know what happened to me. I was just in a very nice reading high, so no complaints from me. The first book I read this month was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars because I just loved it. I went into this book expecting to be entertained, to like it, but not really love it. But I don't know what it was. Maybe I just needed an adult romance in my life because this was the book for me. Right after I finished reading it, I wanted to reread it so badly. I held on, I didn't do it, but I might reread this one soon. Whenever I find myself without having any specific book to read, I'm definitely coming back to this one. Now, I did say my things I hate about my favorite books, that mostly everyone here is white, and I have a problem with everyone having blue eyes, but that's mostly my only problem with this book. And yeah, in my notes, basically I say that I love this and that it's the perfect haters to lovers. So if you like that, definitely recommend you pick this one up. So that was the first book I read in October, and it was actually recommended to me by my best friend McKenna, so shout out to you. And after reading it and loving it, I asked her for more recommendations, and she recommended Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I think that's how you pronounce it. Honestly, no clue. And this one I liked, but I didn't love. I think I went into this one expecting it to be as good as The Hating Game and expecting to love it as much, which kind of made me not enjoy it as much as I think I could have if my expectations had been lower. So I think this one could be very enjoyable if you have normal expectations, because my expectations were up here. Although, for this one, I do have to give it props because it has great diversity, race-wise and LGBTQIA+ wise, because this one, representation, 10 out of 10. That's the thing, that this one beats The Hating Game because of the representation, but story-wise, it wasn't my favorite. I wasn't really into the main couple, so I think that was mostly what took me out of the story. But I still give it a solid 3.5 stars out of 5 stars, which I think is pretty good. Next up, I read The Tower of Nero, and yes, I am aware that I'm not holding The Tower of Nero, but I still don't have the physical copy because it hasn't got into Spain yet, so still waiting for that one. Honestly, I don't have that much to say about this one. I literally made a full review, so I'll link it somewhere so you guys can go check it out. I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5. Which was great, and you can go see my whole thoughts with a spoiler review and a spoiler-free review in the link somewhere. My next read this month was Red, White, and Royal Blue. I don't have the physical copy yet because I used the audiobook, and oh my god, I love this book so much. I went into it thinking it was going to be a lame fan fiction because, so it's basically the grandson of the Queen of England falling in love with the first son of the United States. If that doesn't sound like a fanfic to you, then I don't know what would. But honestly, I loved it. The trope was done to perfection. It was great. I loved all of the characters. I wasn't expecting this at all. Usually contemporary characters don't stay with me, but these ones did. I loved every single one of them. Henry and Alex were both incredible. I loved them so much, and I just fell in love with their relationship. So this one, a solid 5 out of 5 stars for me. I don't know why I read so much contemporary this month, but this one was on another level. I loved it. Also, the same as with The Hating Game, I wanted to reread this one as soon as I finished it. Also, if you haven't picked that one up yet, you should pick it up like as soon as possible, because it kind of like parallels what's happening in the real world, minus COVID, with the United States elections. So check it out. That's it. That's all I have to say. Pick it up because it's amazing. Next up, I read The Prince and the Dressmaker, and no, I don't have the physical copy either because I borrowed this one from my sister. And this one, I went into it because I'd seen like a lot of pictures of it on my Pinterest, I think, and I liked the art style. I liked that people looked like humans. They weren't all like beautiful. They just looked normal, so I really liked that. But honestly, the story wasn't my favorite. I was a little underwhelmed. I went into it thinking that it was about something completely different, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. But I would still recommend it. It was very enjoyable, and I actually laughed out loud like a couple of times, which doesn't really happen, so props for that. So for me, I would say it was a little bit underwhelming, but still recommend, and I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Camp Jupiter Classified by the one and only Uncle Rick, and this was another kind of disappointment for me, which was very surprising because I read this in one afternoon. It's so short, and the letters, look at this, it's so big, there's like no story in here basically. I went into this thinking that it was from Reina's point of view. I was wrong, it's not from Reina's point of view, it's from a random camper. And it's not to say that I didn't like her, I didn't like the format it was in, because it's basically what she writes in her diary, so it's not, things don't happen as she writes them. Things happen and then she tells us about it, and I don't think this format really works, because I didn't really like it. So, from this one, I was underwhelmed because I really thought it was going to be more important to the Trials of Apollo series, or to the whole Percy Jackson series in general, and it really wasn't, and that was kind of what I was lacking in this book, honestly. Just maybe a little bit more importance. It seems like Rick didn't even give that much importance to the story, which kind of makes me sad, but they can't all be winners. And for this one, I had to give just a 2.5 out of 5 stars, honestly. It hurts to say it, but it's the truth. And the last book I read this month was Fangirl by Nanowrimo I'll. This was actually a reread I did because I'm planning on picking up the manga version of this pretty soon, so I wanted to be like refreshed and actually remember what happened, because I think I read this in like 2014 or 2015, so I didn't actually remember like half of the things that happened. Man, I didn't expect to like it this much this time around, because I thought it was like, maybe I liked it that much then, but now that I've grown and mature as a reader, I won't like it as much, but I did like it as much, and that surprised me, but I was happy about it. I gave it a 4.5 stars out of 5, and I basically read this in 2 days, so you can tell when I read a book in 2 to 3 days that I really, really like it. I think I liked Kath this time around more than I liked her before. I didn't like Ren very much, though I understood her. I really liked Levi, though in my mind I just kept calling him Levi for some reason. I mean, I know why, but it just was very confusing because my mind kept changing from Levi to Levi, and it was all very annoying. Nick, I knew what was coming from the beginning. Spoilers for this book. I knew what was coming from the beginning, but still, the Nick thing really like stung. He was such an idiot. It was really infuriating, and seeing Nick, right, like a manic pixie dream girl, just made just made me hate him like so much more. And like writing females that are like not like other girls. I hate Nick so much. Honestly, I didn't remember hating him that much, but one thing, I didn't like Reagan? I didn't like Reagan that much this time around, but aside from that, I loved it. I thought that the scene where Kath and Levi first kiss was so realistic and so funny, so yeah, a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't read this yet, I mean, who hasn't? If you're in BookTube, you've probably read this, but if you haven't, I recommend it. And if you read this, then you can read Carry On. I'm very tempted to reread Carry On, but I'm holding out until the 3rd book comes out, and then I'll do a reread. Okay, so that was it. That was all of the books I read this month, and that was so much, and that was a lot of contemporary. But yeah, I actually am very, very happy with what I read this month, and I can't wait to read more books next month. I probably won't read 7 books. I'll read around like 2 or 3, but you know, I'm still happy with that. I don't know what came over me in October, but yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. Please leave a like, comment what books you read this month, and what books you would like to read in November, and yeah, subscribe. Do whatever you want, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!